Welcome to the Gifts from the Edge podcast, where you are about to meet parents and professionals, educators and entrepreneurs who have taken the path less traveled, and by doing that, have made all the difference. Now it's time to step out of the ordinary. Here's your host, Andrew Lord.
Hello everyone and welcome back to The Edge. Andrew Lord here with you, and today we're chatting with Ben Maiello. He's a young man who I highly respect and admire. Our families have been connected for a long time. His mum, the lovely Krisha, has helped us through our early years and helped us to raise our own kids. And over those years, we've had some really deep conversations with them, got to know his family better. And our lives are just so much richer for it. They're beautiful people, beautiful family. And it's been a while since we've chatted. I think the last time Ben and I chatted was the last time I invited Ben to come in on the Blueprint podcast in 2021, just after their family was hit by the devastating floods. And we helped, promote their GoFundMe campaign, and seeing the way the community rallied around that family was really inspirational, and I think it was an indication for me of what true wealth looks like. But since then, Tony and Krisha, and I know that with a lot of Ben's help, they've rebuilt their house and rebuilt their lives. And also Ben, I know, has been on a lot of travel adventures as well. I've been following him on social media, and so kind of just watching at a distance. That sounds a little creepy, but it's not. Just watching at a distance. And I've noticed this one theme starting to emerge. It's just been coming up and up and up. And that is this idea of let go. And as I was speaking to Ben earlier, it's a theme that I really resonate with, because on my soul care journey, I've been wrestling with how many decisions are motivated maybe more from a sense of lack or a fear of lack rather than a belief in abundance. And, with some of these concepts that I've been listening to with Ben, I've been saying, yes, that's so right. And then other concepts he'd talk about on social media, I'm like, really? Not sure about that one. And it was a wrestle. And so I thought I'm going to bring him back and ask him to come on here and share this conversation together with you guys so we can all benefit, right? And so, Ben, you're a fellow coach. I know you're not into titles these days, but I'm going to call you that anyway. How about I just call you a fellow pilgrim? Welcome to The Edge. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, before we dive in too deep, I know we covered this a little bit before we got on the call, but how are you? What does life look like for you at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I am a builder working with some other builders on a beautiful second-story extension in the gorgeous North Haven, which is just a stunning place by the coast and at the foot of a mountain. Really love it. And yeah, I'm just enjoying myself, working with my hands, working with some great people, going to the beach every day and just having a good time.
Yeah, nice. Sounds beautiful. And you've been doing some traveling in recent years as well. Been to lots of different countries. I'm sure you've met lots of different people. You got any stories that you can tell us from those days?
Oh, okay. I'll tell you the first one that comes to mind. So I went to India, and the whole trip to India was completely unplanned. It just happened as a result of a conversation with a friend in Bali. And I was just like, wow, that place, India, sounds really cool. Why don't we go? And then she's like, okay. So a few weeks later, we jumped on a plane and we were in India. And so when I was in India, I felt drawn, rather than to just going and seeking more experiences, I really felt drawn to just have some quiet time, like some really quiet space and time where I gave myself the opportunity to really go within and just not be distracted and just get to know myself better. So I stayed in a little guest house on top of a mountain. And for 2 months, I basically left to go get lunch, and that was about it. Then I would come back and I would just be in my room, enjoying the beautiful view, doing some journaling, doing some meditation, just not doing much at all. And I feel that that experience was one of the most profound experiences of my entire life, because it allowed me to face my fears, face my insecurities, my restlessness, my boredom, and really get to know who I am underneath all of that. So I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, wow. Is it do you have to go to India to do that, or you do it in your bedroom?
Oh, you can do it in your bedroom.
Yeah.
However, what I find
what was
really
the trigger?
valuable, well, I think the trigger was I had been trying and trying to start a business that was successful. And it's just like every time I would go to do it or get close to having a breakthrough, I would just find myself losing interest, or things just not working out the way I planned, and just something would always go wrong. And I just thought to myself, okay, I'm not going to keep ignoring this and just pressing forward. I'm going to pay attention, because I know that I'm the only I'm the common denominator here in all of these experiences. So I am the one who needs to change or know myself better in order for this to work. So I'm going to make that my highest priority, to understand and to know myself better,
Hmm.
and let go of all the other stuff and just trust that it'll work out.
Yeah, right. When you were starting to tell that story, something that you said just caught my attention, that you would just decided to get onto a plane to India. Sophia and I just went and did some travel. It's the first travel that we've done in more than 25 years. Before we were married, we went to Thailand. We just went to New Caledonia. It was absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
But we did the opposite. We analyzed. We've been talking about going to Fiji or one of the Pacific Islands as a dream since our 20th wedding anniversary. So this has been
Wow.
on the cards for like 5 years. So I feel like I'm kind of the opposite of what you've just described. Hey, let's go to India. It's
Yeah.
like, what are your thoughts when you hear that? Like, do you see that, maybe that sort of level of planning and that level of analytics is selling myself short, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, I understand that everyone's situation's different, and especially when you've got a family, you've got kids,
Mm,
it's not as easy to just jump up and go to India. So, like, it's a process of simplifying your life. I think that's the key. It's like, start where you are and eliminate all of the non-essentials as much as you can, until you come to a place where things are as simple as they possibly can be.
mm. Yeah, cool. And so you've written a book. It's a nice, easy read. Tell us about that process. I mean, why did you write it? And within that process, I mean, to do that, to write a book, to put all your thoughts and pen to paper, you have to have intent, and you have to kind of follow through and maybe encounter resistance and overcome resistance. So can you tell us about the process, but also, how the challenges that you might have faced align with the concept, the letting go concept?
Yeah, so I've been wanting to write this book for years, and I've started it multiple times. And what I found was I just kept trying to make it complicated, because I had this idea in my head that a book should be long, it should be clever, it should be like new and innovative and different and catch everyone by surprise, and all this stuff, which just is not true. And I realized, all that really matters is that I express a few simple ideas that
Mm,
have really helped me.
mm,
And I don't need to package it nicely. I just need to express those ideas. And actually, the simpler the better, because the more complicated you make it, the less people get it, the less they remember it, and the less impact it has. So it's like, just keep it simple, man. And so when I was sitting with that, I was feeling into the resistance around writing the book. And I was just sitting with my eyes closed one day, noticing that I had all that resistance, and then I just started relaxing and letting go of the resistance. And then after about, half an hour of doing that, I got up and opened my laptop and spent about an hour and finished the book in like an hour. Like I
Yeah, wow.
just wrote it in one go. Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't really edit it other than spacing out all the paragraphs so it's super easy to read on a phone.
Mm.
And then I just uploaded it and shared it on Facebook, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, cool. And it's called Let Go Simplified, isn't it?
How to Let Go Simplified.
How to Let Go Simplified. Yeah. And that word simplified, like knowing that story now is not just simplified for the people reading it, but simplified for you as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, cool. So you shared a bit before about how you're working as a builder. You're working on a project. The project has parameters, I'm guessing. So can you explain to me how, the let go concept works in a work environment? Like, because when people might hear this let go concept, myself included, when it's like, okay, I'm going to walk onto the building site, my tools aren't sharp, or the wood hasn't arrived. Lots of reasons to stress out. The let go concept sounds like, stuff it, going to the beach today,
Yeah.
and eventually the building never gets done, or takes twice as long to get done because I'm letting go every day, Yes. So I'm just sort of pushing at this idea just a little bit so you can explain it a bit better for us.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So letting go it's not running away, and it's not copping out. What it is it's showing up to whatever life is presenting to you, and it's doing so in a way where you just choose to be relaxed rather than try to control the situation. And what that results in is all of the constricted blood that is, getting pumped around, and all the adrenaline that's getting pumped around, and, keeping you from effective action, is suddenly available and free to flow into your higher centers of your brain to give you optimized insights and ideas about how to do things more efficiently and effectively. And it puts you in a state where things can just flow because you're not fighting yourself. As human beings, we have, whatever you want to call it, evolved, been created with these survival instincts. And unfortunately, the modern world has kind of been set up to continuously stimulate our survival instincts because we are very easily taken advantage of in that state. But if we can learn to bypass those instincts and just relax and just practice relaxation all the time, unconditionally, which we can reach that point of decision by realizing that whatever happens, it's all going to work out. Everything always works out anyway. So why stress about it? You're much better off just relaxing, and then things will work out way better anyway. So it's just changing that philosophy, that way of thinking, so that you show up to every situation, every problem, every conflict in life in a state of being as relaxed as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's good. So it's not running away, like you said, it's staying, but it's shifting how you are in the circumstance.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Do you think that life brings up certain triggers for us, and that when they come up, like the term I often use in my head is I'm going to go after that, as though it's like there's an inner demon, if you want to use that term. There's something that's like, okay, that's pushing my button. I'm aware, I'm self-aware enough to know that it's pushing my button, and it's not my emotional response is disproportionate to the particular situation that I'm facing. Do you think that there's merit in, what I do is I go away and I not at the moment, but I make a note of it, a mental note of it, and I go away and I'll unpack that with myself in a journal. I'll just do some writing, thinking, praying, and try to come to terms with, hey, what was going on there? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's still merit in those processes?
So the thing that really shifted everything for me, right? Because I used to be very mental, very in my head and analytical, and I still am to a degree. However, what really changed my whole paradigm was realizing that the rational mind is an extension of the emotions. It is actually less powerful than the emotions. The emotions are what drive all of our behavior, all of our activity. Subconsciously, we are driven by our emotions, but we tell ourselves the story that we are the one thinking and we're the voice in the head and all that. And so when you realize that your emotions are actually generating your thoughts, you can go to the root of the problem. See, when you're trying to resolve a situation in your mental space just by thinking about it, you never actually deal with the emotion. You just come up with a new thought to, cling to for that moment, which seems good. But meanwhile, the emotion deep down in your subconscious is still firing, is still unresolved. So what I practice now, rather than trying to think my way out of situations or analyze what's the solution to a problem, I ask myself one question: how does this make me feel? How do I feel about this issue that I'm dealing with right now? And as soon as I ask myself that question, I become aware in my body where I can feel a tension or a stuck emotion or something physical. You can feel it. And then what I do is I just keep my attention in that area for a while, and I do my best to acknowledge it, to completely accept it, and to let that area within me relax. And when I do that, what usually happens is I get some instant relief. All of the thoughts just settle down, and very often I just know what to do. I know exactly what to do. It's not like I have to second guess myself and be like, oh, is that the right conclusion that I've rationalized my way to? It's like emotionally, energetically, it just drops into place, and it's just a knowing, which is different to a thinking, and then there's a knowing. It's a very different thing. So I use that process now, not because I think it's better or anything. It just works.
You mentioned there thinking versus knowing. We've had conversations before about faith and the bigger picture, if you want to use that term. As I've thought about this concept that you're sharing, I can see the parallels with trust, with faith, with belief, the compulsion to not relax is fear generated. And, we know that faith and fear are, these polar opposites. Tell us about, how does this sort of fit within your faith system? You've been on all sorts of different journeys, lots of personal development along the way. Like, explain it to me in a way that, someone from a Christian perspective might be able to understand it.
So I would say that letting go is really, it is one of the deepest expressions of faith, because the whole point is realizing that you as an individual really have very little control over all of the goings on in the world. And so it's just acknowledging that, and acknowledging that there is a higher power at work here, that same power that keeps the sun shining and the planets in orbit and all of the seasons and cycles perfectly synchronized year in, year out. And it's really a process of humbling yourself and acknowledging that, hey, I didn't get myself here. I don't know how I'm going to leave this place. I don't even really know how to work my own body. So why should I stress myself out over the minor details of my life? Why don't I just allow myself to relax, trust, and leave space for that power to present itself to and through me?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool. So do you think, we talked about this before we got on the call, do you think goal setting is kind of a waste of time because, you have very little control, therefore, why bother saying what you're going to do?
Well, I think goals are really valuable because it's a way for you to I suppose, focus your energy on something. And that's a really healthy thing. So the way I see it, having a goal can really give your life meaning. But I would say don't overdo it. Like have a couple of goals, but don't be obsessive about. I used to be obsessive about goals. Every year write out a list of goals, and sometimes I'd have 50 plus goals, and it's just like, if you just have one goal that actually means something to you, and you just focus on that, all the other ones will either take care of themselves, or you won't even think about them because you'll just be happy enjoying that one main goal. So yeah, have a goal. And it works with letting go in the sense that it's our resistance that keeps us from achieving our goal. That's really the only thing. We think, because we've kind of been taught to believe that desire is what gets us to our goal. But actually, desire becomes a real problem if we are controlled by it, because when you desire something, you are in the energetic state, you are in the mental emotional state of I don't have. That's a lack state. Desire means I do not have. So it's much more effective to just choose your goals, because then you're not putting yourself into a conflict. You all you do is you become aware of something that seems good to you. Like, let's say, for example, I would like this kind of house. I'd really love to have a house, live in this place. And so you visualize, you allow yourself to have a picture of that house in that beautiful place. And then you, through the day, when you're imagining that house, when it pops into your mind, at different times through the day, you just let yourself relax. Because usually what you'll notice is when you have a desire, you're in this state of tension. You're actually like, there's a knot in your stomach, or there's like this irritable feeling, like you're itching for that desire. But if you change that pattern and just imagine the desire, the thing that you're going for, the goal, have a picture of it, and then as you're seeing that picture in your mind's eye, you just relax your whole body. It's the same process of letting go. Then you're communicating to your subconscious that this is a good thing. This feels good. You feel relaxed. It feels like you actually have it now because you're in that relaxed, content, satisfied state. And that allows your subconscious to get to work in bringing it to you in the fastest and most, harmonious way possible.
Yeah, that's cool. I've often thought of that tension that you've described, and in my mind, if I'm present enough, I can see that tension as a really good thing, because I see that I imagine it kind of like stretching a rubber band, and then that has the potential to drive you toward the goal. And when I do think of the tension as a positive thing, it switches my attitude to to the struggle. Do you think I'm doing the same thing in my head, or is that something different?
Well, yeah, I mean, if the tension actually helps to propel you in the right direction and that's working for you, keep doing it. It's only if you find yourself in a bind where you feel so tense about getting your goal that you're having trouble sleeping, or you're obsessing about it all the time, and you can't do other things throughout the day, or you actually feel irritated or lack, or like you're missing out because you don't have that goal. That, in my experience, that tends to create more problems than good. I mean, yeah, I've been able to motivate myself to perform, heaps of work and smash through projects and stuff by using that tension. But what I usually find is at the end of the process, I'm burned out, and I don't feel very satisfied, even if I get the goal. And because it's come at the expense of my emotional, mental well-being. So it's like, it's finding a way to achieve our goals, which is in flow and in the most harmonious way possible. That's what I go for.
Yeah. I've often thought of, that push as using a credit card. It's like you can kind of get it now, but you end up in debt, and sooner or later you got to pay that thing off. You've got a recovery period coming up. Yeah. Now that's really cool. Ben, thank you so much for chatting with us today. Now the book is called How to Let Go Simplified. People can get it for $1. Is that right?
Yeah, it's only $1.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. How can people, I'm going to put a link, but how can people find more about you, the Let Go concept, the book? How can people get in touch with that?
So you can find me on YouTube or Instagram under Self Revealed, or you can find me on Facebook, Benjamin Malo. If you like the sound of the book and you just want to jump straight on and get it, it's at www.justletgo.app.
Nice. So like I said, we will put some links wherever you're listening to this podcast so you can go and get yourself a copy. Ben, so good to catch up with you again. And thank you so much for spending some time with everybody here. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And there you have it, Ben Maiello. He's a great guy. We talk about different forms of intelligence. Ben is highly intrapersonal intelligent. I know that he's done a lot of thinking to get to this point of writing a very succinct but very powerful book. I encourage you to go and grab that. Just while we're talking about books, my new audio book, it's not a new book, it's a year after the book was published, but the audio book is now available for download. I'm going to put a link just below this podcast so you can go and check that out as well. Thank you so much for being a part of Gifts from the Edge once again. Look forward to catching up with you next time. Bye for now.